Hello, everyone. I am not Joe,
And I'm not Corinne.
and welcome to the second episode of the Seventh Sea.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our second installment of the Seventh Sea. We're so stoked to see an audience is growing already, and we're excited to bring you guys more content.
You know, I kind of think we peaked with the first episode. I'm not going to lie. Honestly, it's all downhill from here.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I will never, and I mean never, be able to top that Party City rant, I swear.
Well, you know what was good about that rant? You know, despite being an angry recap of Party City wigs of all things, it was really structured. You could slap it into an essay and get an A on it.
Catch me writing an argumentative essay on Party City wigs. It would be pure chaos, and we stand that.
100%. Full support.
And speaking of chaos, we had something pretty strange happen to the listeners of last episode.
Oh boy. So, yeah, I'll tell my side of the story, and Corinne, you can fill in the details that you learned. But basically, a day after we released our first episode, I get a text from a friend of mine who had just listened to it. Now, if you'll remember, the last time on the Conspiracy Corner segment, Corinne was talking about the Phoenix lights and how the governor was doing a full 180 on his stance on whether these lights were legit or not.
I still think that governor is kind of sus. I don't think he passes the vibe check.
You know, I actually looked him up, by the way. He's still alive.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. He's 70. I guess that's not that old. Anyways, but he actually resigned only 7 months after the Phoenix Lights incident because he had been convicted of several accounts of bank fraud. And yet later, the ruling was overturned. Interesting, wouldn't you say?
Bank fraud is a good crime to be convicted of. If I were a governor, I would prefer to be convicted of bank fraud than, murder or arson or something like that.
It scares me. It fundamentally scares me that you've thought of this.
Look, I'm just saying, while yes, the other two may be more fun and chaotic, if it came down to it, bank fraud isn't that bad.
Okay. I think we've distracted ourselves from the point of our intro. What I was gonna say is that my friend texted me saying that when he got to the Conspiracy Corner segment, his Wi-Fi suddenly decided to trip out, and it caused our voices to get all choppy and distorted. Pardon me.
I had 2 people text me saying weird stuff happened right there. My friend said basically the same thing as you, that we got really choppy and distorted. But my grandma said that we completely cut out and the audio just dropped, and she had to completely reload Spotify in order for it to start working again.
You know, it seems we've upset our superiors, Corinne.
Oh, geez, the Illuminati's not going to be happy about this one.
Nice going.
To be fair, I didn't think this would happen, but don't worry. I won't talk about government conspiracies in this episode's Conspiracy Corner.
Oh, sorry. To, completely change the subject. Oh, okay, well, it's not that big of a subject change. But I almost forgot to mention, speaking of superiors, Principal Ching sent out a recorded message to the parents and stuff the other day. You know, dear Minarets parents and blah, 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 blah. But my dad came out of the back room holding his phone, and he said, I think your school got abducted by aliens. So naturally my first thought was, what did Corinne do?
Why do you always assume that I did something? Look, I know I summoned a demon once in the school bathroom, but you can't judge me on that forever, Joe.
You know what? You're just lucky I was there to save you. But I guess that's what we get for cutting gym class.
Nah. This wasn't the time we cut gym class. This was later. The thing we experienced when we cut gym class was not my doing. At least, not as far as I'm aware, but sometimes I do some sketchy stuff, so maybe it was.
It was still horrifying nonetheless. But then again, sophomore year in general was pretty scary.
You know what? That's true.
Icky vibes. But anyways, my second thought was, aliens in our school. So my dad played back the voicemail that Ching left. And let me tell you, I got shivers up and down my spine. Take a listen.
This is a message from Minarets High School.
And it's literally 3 minutes of that.
Yeah, it goes on for 3 minutes.
That's super creepy.
And it's never happened before to my recollection.
Yeah, I've always had super clear voicemails from Dr. Ching. It's never been something weird like that. Kind of spooky considering all things that happened with our last episode.
Yeah, talk about all of it happening within a week of each other. But anyway, we better be starting our other segments. Am I right? I regret existing.
Me too, Joe. Me too. But anyways, on with the news.
The senior class has had a lot of exciting developments. Our first article, written by Jessica McGrail, covers all the details about the recent Senior Sunrise event. Held a couple of weeks ago, the Senior Sunrise is an annual tradition where the graduating class meets up early in the morning to watch the sunrise together. This year, the event took place over by the Hoover Dam and was actually coordinated by the students, specifically senior Kate Flanagan. Now, there were some comments that it was hard to watch the sunrise considering all the smoke, but the general consensus was that everyone was just grateful to see each other and have some sort of a taste of a traditional senior year.
The seniors also got a chance to attend another event a week or two later. Cadence Holmes wrote an article about the recent senior drive-in movie theater night. The event was sponsored by a group of senior parents who are working to make this last year a memorable one for the class of 2021. By paying a small entry fee, seniors got access to the Madera Drive-In for a night to watch a couple of different movies, as well as some free snacks and little gifts. Joe, why are you looking at me like that? What's with the face?
It's just ironic is all. We're reporting the news on these big senior events, you know, the ones that you're supposed to remember for the rest of your life, and neither of us went to them.
Joe, you can't expose us like this. We're on camera.
We need to, for the sake of our listeners, all 21 of them.
You know what? That's fair. Good point.
Okay, but like actually, in my defense, I hate waking up early, so I didn't have the willpower to go to the senior sunrise.
You know what? That's a mood.
Yeah, I mean, props to those who did. And the drive-in, I guess I'm just lame. But anyway, I think it's time for some Nielsen nitpicks.
Y'all, I hate knees. We're just getting right into this. Right into it.
Go for
But
it.
before all of you guys cancel me for hating an essential part of the human body, we need knees. No, we don't. But that's besides the point.
That's another conversation.
I don't hate all knees, okay? It's not all of them. I don't hate your knees. I only hate my knees, specifically my left one. So for those of you who don't know, I was in a car accident over the summer, and it was a minor one, like nothing too bad happened.
Hey, Corinne, did you die?
Oh, yeah. You know, I always die.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But that's besides the point. Nobody else was injured. I just hit my knee on the dashboard. But I got this mystery injury that nobody knows what it is. I've been to like 5 different people. Each one sent me to another person, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what this is. And one of them pointed out a spot on the x-ray and was like, that shouldn't be there, but we don't know what's causing it, and it's not a fracture, so there's nothing I can do for you but send you to this person.
Oop.
So finally, they decided that they're going to put me in physical therapy, you know, but they still don't know what it is. And the physical therapist was like, you know, it could be a meniscus tear, but I'm not entirely sure. I've never had something like this where they don't know what it is and don't tell me what it is before. So they're treating me for a meniscus tear without even like knowing if it is that. And we're just going out on a limb here trying to...
A limb? Yes. Okay, sorry.
Quit trying to turn everything I say into puns, Joe.
You underestimate me. Mortal. Sorry.
Anyways, so we're just going out on a limb here trying to figure out what is wrong with my knee, and nobody has any idea. And it is so annoying. Just, I cannot stand this. But yeah, don't tell my physical therapist that I'm skipping PT to be here today.
Anything for the listeners.
Anything for the listeners.
All 21 of them.
But yeah, so we love you guys. But anyway, knees are terrible, and that's just how Corinne sees it.
You know, it sounds like you have a lot of pent-up anger that you need to get out.
Joe, your puns make me want to punch you.
Sorry, I had to.
You're about to catch these hands.
13-year-old Joe made me do it.
I thought you were 17.
Bite me.
Yeah. You know what? Just go to your next segment.
Fine. Time to flip to a new page in the Ziglar Dictionary of Random Words. I'd actually like to dedicate this word to my D&D group because it makes me think of them.
Aww.
I know, how sentimental. Disgusting. But today's word is actually a really wholesome word in my opinion. The word is nemophilist. Nemophilist.
That sounds like some dude who would look at me while I'm walking down a back alleyway.
I know. I mean, it does. That's fair. But it actually means someone with a love or fondness for the forest or any sort of woodland scenery. A lot of definitions I found actually include the phrase haunter of the woods. It's so poetic.
Yes. I, too, am a haunter of the woods.
Okay, but you have, like, sinister reasons.
Well, that's obvious. The well man, duh.
Who's the well man?
He's like the ring girl, but a murderer.
Well, I mean, she was a murderer, too.
But, like, she was a ghost.
And he isn't?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, but I think I will. But back to more articles. First off, we do want to announce the results of that spooky short story competition. Our top 3 submissions came from junior Jolene Anderson, senior Solon Walker, and actually a former alumni, Joseph Langley. Their stories are available on the Minarets Press website for you to peruse. And of course, a special thank you to Mia Hipwood and Bella Velasquez for setting up and running the competition.
And our last highlight story comes to us from Hazel Tainter, who covered a new club being formed here on campus, even in the middle of all this distance learning chaos. Junior Jasmine Evans is spreading a new student organization on campus called SAFE, which stands for Student Allies for Equity. The purpose is to... Pardon me, I can't talk. Hi, you guys should know this by now. The purpose of the club will be to educate students and staff on racism, cultural insensitivity, and modern discrimination. Evans and the other club members feel that SAFE is being formed at a crucial time when topics like these are becoming more and more divisive.
Honestly, props to SAFE and to all the other clubs either forming or continuing during these unprecedented times. It's a testament to the dedication of the students to start and upkeep clubs that they care about.
So, on that thoughtful note,
'tis time for the ever-famous Conspiracy Corner. Yes, we did get sound effects.
So I promised Joe that I wouldn't do any government conspiracies this time. So instead, we'll be talking about the Black-Eyed Children. But if you want to hear about more government conspiracy theories, then you have to watch later episodes because I'll definitely come back to them.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the sightings of these quote-unquote children basically go like this. A child with their head down will approach you while you are either in your car or will knock on your front door and request that you allow them to come inside. It's reported that immediately upon seeing them, you'll feel scared or uneasy, and upon telling them that they can't come in, they will get angry and pushy and demanding until they lift up their head to reveal to you their pitch black eyes.
Hold on. You said you'll feel, like, scared or uneasy. I mean, I feel that way when, like, a pizza man comes. So, like, how am I supposed to know if this is, like, an evil entity or not, you know?
You know what? Maybe the pizza man is an evil entity. Have you ever ordered pizza from Domino's?
I mean... We have you figured out, Domino's. We're watching you.
We know.
But anyways,
But
continue.
this isn't about Domino's. Maybe a different episode. It's unknown exactly what will happen if you let the Black-Eyed Children into your home, because the select few people who have say they have no recollection of what happened once the children stepped inside. Nobody knows who or what these Black-Eyed Children are or what their intentions are, but we can assume that they are not good.
I mean, this is just us freelancing at this point, but what do you think their origins are?
Demons! Okay, but I swear this doesn't come from me just disliking children in general, because if you've ever had a conversation with me, you know I do not like kids. But that's not what this comes from, I promise. But I do think, like, the Black-Eyed Children are like ghosts or demons or something.
Yeah. You know how in movies there's always, like, one centered event or a certain family or person that does something obviously stupid that triggers the birth or, I don't know, resurgence of, like, the ooky spooky guys? I'm just curious who or what triggered these children to become a thing, you know?
I don't know. There was probably some yeehaw down in the Midwest who tried to summon Satan to, like, heal his cow or something and just ended up with a handful of evil children instead.
Okay, Stephen King.
That is the biggest compliment.
The other thing that I'm curious about is, you know, in all these reports, these people, they survive. They just don't know what happens after, like, the children, like, raise up and look at them. So in, like, that period of time where you're blacked out, what are these kids doing, like, in your house? Like, what did they take? What are they after? And why didn't they kill you, you know?
Yeah, there's obviously some reason that the children want to keep them alive.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that reasoning?
And what are they after that you can't know about, but it's okay for you to still be alive, if that makes sense. Like, there's just a lot of question marks, but it's interesting. Keep an eye out, listeners.
And if you guys want to tell us what you think the origins of the black-eyed children are, I'll make sure I put up a little response sticker on our Instagram story so you guys can tell us your thoughts.
Ooh. I guess that means we should move on to our next segment. Overthinking Thoughts by Joe. And let me tell you, y'all are going to hear one of my favorite stories today. This week's overthinking thought is standardized testing. Woo! Corinne just stared at me. Anyways, let's get into it. I know not all of us have taken like the SAT or ACT because of COVID, but we've all done some sort of like school or state testing at some point, so we can all relate it, in some level. But anyways, about a year ago, almost today, I signed up for I went to go take the ACT. But when I signed up, I couldn't find Minarets on like the test location options. So kind of reluctantly, I signed up to take it at Clovis West. And then about a week later, I realized Minarets was offering it, but I just missed it on the website. And I was really pissed. So I went to my mom and I said, can I change locations? But it cost $30 to do so. And she's like, that's ridiculous. Go to Clovis West. And I mean, that's fair. So it's ACT test day, and I'm already nervous because it's a college entrance exam. And I also really don't know this school, so I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know anyone there, so I'm freaking out. And my mom was probably getting annoyed because she kind of turned to me and she said, you know what, Joe? You're a theater kid. Make up a character that's more confident than you are and pretend to be them for a day. Like, come on, get it together. And I actually did. I decided I was a British transfer student.
Yes, because British people are just gods of confidence.
Yes. Have you seen Benedict Cumberbatch?
You know what?
Have you seen Sherlock?
That's fair,
Thank you. I love you, Benedict. But anyways.
Joe, stop simping on Maine. We are in a podcast right now.
I'm sorry. I've apologized a lot today. That's fair. So I'm actually British, and I asked a girl where the restroom was. I asked the proctor where I could sit. Like, it was going well, and I was actually getting more confident, and everything was, going dandy. But this is like a book moment, because this is when everything begins to unravel. I wasn't expecting to see any Minarets kids there, and I didn't. But I wasn't counting on seeing a kid from my former middle school there, and he knows for a fact I am not British.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. So I'm forced up to the front. I have to sit in the front seat because there were no other seats left. And if anyone knows me, they know that I hate that. I prefer to sit in the back corner because I hate sitting in between people. I feel really, closed up, and it just freaks me out. So I like to sit in the back where I can watch everyone and be by a corner.
I can attest for this. I have never been in a class with Joe where she didn't choose to sit in the back corner.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was forced to sit up in the front. So I'm sitting between this kid who knows me and then the proctor's right next to me because again we're in the front, and so the proctor thinks I'm British, and this kid from my middle school he thinks correctly I am American. And so I start spiraling because I'm like, well, what if I have a question for the proctor? I don't know which accent I'm supposed to use, and if I don't get my question answer, I'm going to do this wrong, and then my test isn't going to count, and I'm going to waste my parents' money. And it was horrible. So I did what any person would do in this situation, logically. I avoided eye contact. I hid in the bathroom at every break, and every time he walked past me or started to look my way, I curled up into a ball and aggressively ate my Cheez-Its.
Yeah, what happened to your British confidence, God, Joe? What happened to being Benedict Cumberbatch?
I don't want to talk about it. It was a dark day for me. So I definitely overthought the whole situation and created a big mess for myself. But I did get out of there unscathed. The kid never talked to me, and I ran away before he could. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to completely reinvent your entire life for 3 hours, you better be thoroughly prepared for every scenario.
And on that British confident note,
or lack thereof,
it's on for our last segment, Senior Suggestions.
And today, we're going to talk about something that kind of sounds cliche at first, but just hear us out. It's important to talk about.
The topic is friend groups, or more specifically, sorting yourself into friend groups because they look or think like you, because that's what you're expected to do. First of all, your friend group is not your Hogwarts house. You don't all have to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Ravenclaw and Slytherin, right? You're Slytherin?
Yep, I'm a Slytherin.
We're vibing.
We do be a vibe.
But yeah, there's this subtle expectation, or maybe habit is the better word, where we feel expected or more at ease when we put ourselves into friend groups where everyone dresses the same, thinks the same way, does the same things, etc. And there is nothing wrong with that. But at times it can be limiting, and it can trap you in this narrow box of limited experiences.
Yes, and I personally can attest for this because my freshman year, when I first came to Minarets and I didn't really know anybody, because I went to a middle school down in the Ranchos, and like 2 people who I knew came up here with me, and I didn't really like one of them, so I didn't want to hang out with them. So I ended up hanging out with the emo kids because, you know, we all have dyed hair and wear dark makeup and like winged eyeliner, so why wouldn't I hang out with them? But they were the most dramatic people I have ever hung out with. And no offense to any of you if you are watching this right now. I still talk to a couple of you, and you guys are really cool. But I had to have a backup friend group because that friend group got too dramatic for me sometimes. And if you need a backup friend group because you went all in with the emo kids, maybe get a different friend group.
Yeah. And, you know, Corinne and I, pardon the overused expression, became unlikely friends. And we actually got a lot of comments from people over the years because they couldn't understand how we were friends. You know, we look completely different. We have different interests and goals and lifestyles and beliefs, but we're really tight, and people didn't understand that. But there's something uniquely enriching about having friends who aren't exactly like you. And at least for me, it's made me a more well-rounded, compassionate, understanding person because I've been exposed to different perspectives. And it's not to say you should adopt every perspective you encounter. You know, only you get to decide what you believe, how you act, you know, what you want to do with your life. But having all sorts of friends from all sorts of backgrounds helps you immensely in the long run. So don't be afraid to reach across those invisible boundaries.
So I guess, making a long story short, society's expectations shouldn't dictate the people who you hang out with. Just do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And I guess that wraps up our second episode.
Just a quick note for those listening on Spotify, you can now also watch a filmed version of this episode available on the Minarets Press YouTube channel.
And for those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, you can also listen to an audio-only version on Spotify.
Yeah, we're available on several platforms now, and we're super excited because we're expanding our show. So check us out on all sorts of ways.
As always, please be sure to follow the 7C on Instagram to stay up to date with the latest announcements and interact with our fun little polls because we like talking to you guys.
And please, guys, wear a mask. Let's get this pandemic over with.
See you guys next time. I am still not Joe.
And I'm still not Corinne.
And the 7C is not chaos.
Woo!